your thing here, but nobody's any better at this than you are.
Have fun, take a deep breath.
Give him hell at the end. You like this?
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative.
You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times on the 14th. So, is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah.
11 got it. Rowdy there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Therefore, great job, guys.
And welcome back to another exciting week of Racing in the Draft. I'm Mark, and thanks for tuning in again. Last week, we saw a little bit of everything, and that's expected at a short track like Martinsville. Even after an 18-hour rain delay, the beating and banging began, tippers flaring up, Stewart Haas still struggling, and some unexpected that happened at Martinsville. We actually ended up having the big one that we usually only see at superspeedways, which then led Daniel Suarez to throwing his water bottle at William Byron instead of using it on his own race car, which was in flames. As you can see, Kyle Busch ended up having a pretty tough day, and along with some other ones that were favorites, but I still ended up having an okay weekend all in all. Hopefully you did also. Here is the big one that ended up causing everything. And in all actuality, I wish the race had ended after this big one, because I was actually sitting in first place of the $20,000 Chrome Horn contest. That would have been a nice payday for the weekend. Yeah, use the water bottle on that instead. But winner chicken dinner for the man who has won 3 out of 4 races at Martinsville, Mr. Martin Truex Jr., who will actually end up being a favorite again this weekend. So, with that being said, and in the rearview mirror, let's take a look at Richmond, which we just actually ended up getting back from, since it is the local track for me and my son and family. It was a very action-packed truck race, and we now have a new fan of NASCAR. It always happens that way. Just go to a race and you catch the bug. But with further ado, let's dive into this week's Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond International Raceway. Richmond is a short track again. It is 0.75 miles in length, 14 degrees in the corners. Race length here is 400 laps, which means we will have Dominator points, and we will need to look at those Dominator points. Total laps led will equal 100 points, and fast laps will equal 180. So we are looking for at minimum 2 Dominators, potentially even 3 Dominators. Last weekend was a 3 Dominator race, and we'll look at the results of that and a couple of surprises in the optimal lineup from Martinsville. 2 guys that I have always said never make the optimal lineup ended up making the optimal lineup, but we'll look at that when we get to the end here. All right. DraftKings pricing this week is fairly good and spread out. No real ones that are out there to cause any real problems or want to put all of your money behind. Brad Keselowski, $12,000 is our top of the heap. He has 22 total races at Richmond. He'll be starting 20th, and he has 6 top fives out of his 22 and 2 wins, and he finished first here in last year's only race at Richmond. Because of COVID, they only raced once. He, over his last course of his last 5, he has 1 win, 2 top fives, a 74.4 DraftKings average, and a 6.0 average finish. Next in line, Martin Truex Jr., last weekend's winner, as we just discussed, 11,400, has raced 29 times here at Richmond. He will be starting from the pole position. He finished second here in last year's race. He does have 2 total wins here and 6 top fives. And in the last 5 starts, he has 2 wins, 4 top fives, an 86.1 DraftKings average, and a 4.2 average finish, putting him top of the power ranking this week. Next in line, his teammate Denny Hamlin, who is also from Richmond, so this would be a home track for Mr. Hamlin, has 28 total starts here, 13 top fives, 3 wins. Last year finished 12th. He's going to start outside pole from Mr. Truex. In the last 5 races, he has 3 top fives, a 49.9 average DraftKings average, and a 7.6 average finish. Next in line, Joey Logano at 10,600. 23 total starts here, 10 top fives, 2 wins, finished 3rd here last year. Coming in at 3rd on the power ranking, he has 0 wins, 3 top fives in the last 5 races, a 56.6 average in DraftKings, and a 7.0 average finish, starting 5th. Next in line, Kyle Larson, 10,300. He has raced here 12 times. He did not race here last year because of his suspension, and got myself a new shirt at the race today. He is coming in 8th in the power rankings for this race. He does have 1 win and 2 top fives out of his 12 starts. He'll be starting 6th. He has an average of 33 DraftKings points and a 14.5 average finish, and no top fives in his last 5 starts here. Doesn't do extremely well, but being in a Hendrick car, he was surprisingly much better at Martinsville than he usually is, so I wouldn't sway too far away from Mr. Larson this week, being in much better equipment at Hendrick. Next in line, Kyle Busch, 30 races here, probably the best stats of everyone, 18 top fives and 6 wins, and he finished 6th here in the fall. Remember, we don't have practice again, and Kyle really seems to move up the board when they have practice. With him starting 10th, he has a power ranking of 6th in the last 5 races. He does have 2 wins, 3 top fives, an 89.6 DraftKings average, and a 3.6 average finish. He did finish 2nd today in the truck race, and did not have the dominant car or truck, but ended up fending off a lot of people and coming back from middle of the pack towards the end of the race, and finished 2nd behind John Hunter Nemechek. So he did get some practice, but not in his cup car, so no chance to really tune it in, but maybe we'll see something from Kyle this weekend. Don't be surprised. Next in line, Chase Elliott, 9,700. Has 10 total starts here, will be starting 3rd tomorrow in the race. He finished 5th here in the fall and has 3 total top fives. And those 3 top fives came in the last 5 races, which he has a 46.1 DraftKings average and an 8th place average finish. He does have a power ranking of 7 this weekend. Next in line, Kevin Harvick, 9,400, 39 total starts here, 15 top fives, 3 wins, finished 7th here last year. And in the last 5 races, he has 3 top fives, a 58.0 DraftKings average, a 5.2 average finish, and 5th in the power rankings. Stuart Haas still is struggling though this year. Don't know, not sure, but because Kevin is such a good racer and a champion of this sport, and probably will be a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame, he's able to take equipment that is not running well, shown by his other teammates and turned them into top 10s and ended up finishing 9th at Martinsville last weekend. So he continues with his top 10 finishes for the season, but still is struggling to lead laps, which is something we're going to need to see this weekend. So who knows? He's going to have a breakout weekend sooner or later. We just don't know when. But a power ranking of 5. Next in line, Ryan Blaney, who was one of the dominators from last weekend. Do not expect the same this weekend. He has struggled at Richmond. In his 9 total starts, he has 0 top 10s and finished 19th last year. He will be starting 7th tomorrow and has a power ranking of 10. 0 wins, 0 top 5s, an 18.8 DraftKings average, and a 20.4 average finish. I don't think I'm going to have a whole lot of Mr. Blaney this weekend until he can figure out how to drive Richmond. Next in line, Alex Bowman at $8,800. 9 total starts here, 1 top 10, 0 wins, finished 9th here last year. He'll be starting 24th, which will give him some room for PD upside. Has a power ranking of 15th and has 25.1 DraftKings average and a 16th average finish over the last 5 races. In our next set, Austin Cindric will be making his 3rd Cup start of the year for Penske. He doesn't have any starts here in the Cup car, but does have Xfinity stats, and we'll look at that. He has a total of 6 Xfinity starts, 5 top 10s, and finished 10th last year in the Xfinity car, and the Xfinity points and averages look pretty good. Also, 4 top 10s, a 55.4 DraftKings average, and a 6.2 average finish. But remember, those are all in Xfinity cars, not in the Cup cars. Different level of competition and completely different setup on how the car drives. So he does know how to get around Richmond fairly well, giving him a power ranking of 16th and also a ton of PD upside, starting dead last at 38th for this race. He will be your PD upside guy, go-to guy for this weekend, so definitely keep that in mind. Next in line, William Byron, 5 total starts here, finished 21st in last year's race, will be starting 4th, 0 top 10s and 0 wins, 22.5 DraftKings average and an 18.2 average finish. Not sure I like a whole lot of William Byron this weekend, but he has shown much better speed this year and has done better at tracks where he has not done well at. So keep that in mind. I probably will have some sprinkling of William Byron. Next in line, Kurt Busch driving the 2B car. That'll be different to try to find. Usually he's in the black 1 monster car, but we'll keep an eye out for the colorful 2B car. 39 total starts here, 15 top 10s, 2 wins, finished 13th here last year. Will be starting 17th. He'll have some PD upside for him. He has a 36.9 DraftKings average and a 14.2 average finish. And if you look and see the asterisk next to his name, those are drivers who are, I'm not targeting for Dominator and I'm not targeting for PD upside. They are somebody who's going to be consistent and probably finish in the top 15 and give us good, decent points. And will give us some fill in the gaps. We'll explain that towards the end. Next in line, Eric Almirola, 8,200, 17 total starts here, 6 top 10s out of those 17 starts. He does run fairly well at Richmond, finished 18th here in last year's race, 34.7 DraftKings average, 14th place average finish, starting 22nd, does give him a little bit of PD upside, and a power ranking of 17th this weekend. Matthew DiBenedetto, Matty D, $8,000 is his price tag for this weekend. Has 11 total starts here, 0 top 10s, finished 17th in the fall, giving him a power ranking of 24th this weekend. He is not a star at this race. He just will consistently probably get you a top 20, which may be enough to give him some points, but probably not be in the optimal lineup. 21.2 average finish and 21.4 DraftKings average. That's not gonna cut the cheese. All right, next in line, Christopher Bell at 7,800 has one start here in Cup where he finished 15th and had 43.1 DraftKings average, and that was last year's race. In the Xfinity car, though, he has 5 starts and 3 wins. He is fairly good at Richmond and knows how to get around, but just like Austin Cindric, the Xfinity car is much different than the Cup car. But it still gives you some indication on how well they do driving at the track. And in Xfinity, he has a 12th place average finish and a 76.8 average on DraftKings in the Xfinity race. So somebody to keep in mind, middle of the road, good consistent driver starting 8th. Next in line, Eric Jones, $7,600, power ranking of 20 and 7 total starts. Will be starting 30th. He will be somebody that we will be looking at for PD upside. He finished 22nd here last year, won top 10, and has a 36.1 DraftKings average and a 12.8 average finish. Like I said, he will be somebody that we should target for PD upside starting 30th. Austin Dillon, 7,500, 13 total starts here, 3 top 10s and no wins. He finished 4th here last year and is starting 11th for tomorrow's race. He has a 47.7 DraftKings average and a 10.8 average finish, putting him 9th on the power ranking this weekend. Bubba Wallace at 7,300 has not typically performed very well here at Richmond. Has 5 total starts here, no top 10s, and 26th last year, putting him 21st on the power ranking grid for this weekend. 22.1 DraftKings average, 23.6 average finish, starting 15th. No real PD upside, no real Dominator upside. Have a smattering of him, but I will still hold out for running much of Bubba Wallace this weekend. Tyler Reddick at 7,200 has 1 Cup start here. No wins, no top 10s, but he did finish 11th last year. He'll be starting 13th this race. He did have 44.8 DraftKings points in last year's race, and we'll look at some Xfinity results for him. He has started 5 times here, has 3 top 20s, a 5th place average finish, and a 47.8 DraftKings average. Power ranking of 19 this weekend. He's kind of sitting in a funny spot starting 13th. He doesn't really have a whole lot of room for PD, and I don't think he's going to be a Dominator, but he probably will get us a consistent top 20 finish. Probably somebody not to be in the optimal lineup. Next in line, Ryan Newman, 37 total starts here at $7,000. He will be starting 19th in tomorrow's race and finished 23rd here last year. 1 win, 20 top 10s. He's pretty consistent for a Richmond driver. He has, in the last 5 races, he's got a 24.7 DraftKings average and 18.8 average finish. Small room for some PD upside. Somebody that should be probably targeted for middle of the pack. Could be somebody to keep an eye on, even with a 25th power ranking. Now we're starting to get into the people that I'll probably be staying a little bit away from. Cole Custer at 6,800. As we go down, we will have to target some of these guys because we will need some value plays, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But Cole Custer has 2 total starts here, has no wins, no top 10s, and out of those 2 starts, he has a 24.7 DraftKings average, 1 top 20, and an 18.8 average finish. In Xfinity, he has 7 total starts. He does have 1 win and 4 top 10s out of 7. So he does know how to get around here, but he is driving the Stewart-Haas equipment, who has struggled as this year has continued on. Next in line, Daniel Suarez, 6,600. Here will be somebody that will have some value. He'll have some PD upside, starting 27th. He has 7 total starts here at Richmond. He finished 29th here last year in less equipment. He's really making the most out of his equipment this year. 3 top 10s, no wins out of his 7 starts. And out of his last 5 starts here, he has 4 top 20s, a 34.8 DraftKings average, and a 16.6 average finish. Somebody to look at for value. Another value driver, 6,400, Chase Briscoe. Just like Austin Cindric, does not have any starts here in the Cup car, but 5 total Xfinity starts, where he finished 16th last year. He does have 2 top 10s and an 8.2 DraftKings average and a 39-point average finish. Not too good. Probably may not have a whole lot of him because he's driving Stewart-Haas equipment. Be very careful when taking him. All right, next in line, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 6,200, 15 total starts here, 2 top 10s out of those 15. Will be starting 14th and finished 18th here last year, 29th on the power ranking. He has been outperforming this year. It is risky to take Ricky Stenhouse. He has, like I said, been outperforming this year. In his last 5 starts here, he does have 4 top 10s, a 34.3 DraftKings average, and a 17.2 average finish. So he has been running much, much better as of late at Richmond, and has been running much better this year. But starting 14th does make me a little nervous. There is no room for PD upside, and he doubtfully will be a dominator. So take that with caution and play him as you may need. Next in line, Chris Buescher at 6,100, power ranking of 22 this weekend, so little value here. 9 total starts. He will be starting 12th and finished 24th last year here at Richmond. Does have 1 top 20. He does have a 26.8 average finish, so be careful. He is somebody that typically does not run that well at Richmond. With only a 9.1 DraftKings average, that's not going to cut the mustard to make it into any optimal lineups. So, but he has been running much better as of late this year in better equipment. Next in line, Ross Chastain, 6,000. As you can see in yellow, proceed with caution for total starts here. No top 20s. Has an average finish of 32.0. With him starting 18th, that will hurt your PD. Will actually be probably negative. 9.1 DraftKings average. In Xfinity, he has 11 starts here and only 3 top 5. So even the Xfinity scar, he has struggled. So I will be staying away from Ross Chastain. Michael McDowell, 5,800, 19 total starts here and only 3 top 20s. He's starting 23rd. He finished 25th here last year, has a 27.6 average finish, so as you can tell, if he just hits his average, he'll lose you points on points differential. 8.6 DraftKings average. Proceed with caution with Mr. McDowell this weekend. Stay away. Next in line, Corey LaJoie at 5,700. 6 total starts here. Finished 27th in the fall, but starting 36th in tomorrow's race, which is 2 spots out of dead last, will give him some room for potential PD upside, so be careful if you decide to target Corey LaJoie, who has an average finish of 28.8 and an 8.6 DraftKings average. Ryan Preece, 5,600, 3 total starts here. 2 top 20s, so it's not bad. Starting 25th, will have a little bit of PD upside. He has an average finish of 23.7 and a 16.1 average finish. That will never get you into any optimal lineups, but he is 5,600, so we've got to find some value somewhere. Proceed with caution, but maybe. Now we're getting into typically what I would say. These guys never make the optimal lineup, but as we'll find out when we get into that here in a few minutes. We have 2 guys out of this group that made the optimal lineup last weekend. Stay tuned. Anthony Alfredo never completed a lap here in any car other than the iRacing car. Is 5,400, starting 29th. I don't think there's much room for him to go up, but will probably cost you points. Stay away. Next in line, Garrett Smithley, 5,300, has no cup starts here. Does have some Xfinity starts. Best is 19th, 2 top 20s out of his 8 total starts. He is starting outside of the last place spot. 38 total cars here, starting 37th. So not much more room other than to get points, but probably will run in the back and be many laps down by the end of this race. In Xfinity, he has a 25th place average finish, which is not very good. 20.1 DraftKings average. So see him in red. Stay away. Next in line, Justin Haley, 5,200, starting 34th. Has 4 Xfinity starts here, no cup starts. We're getting into guys that just have never raced cup cars here ever. Mostly because of COVID, they didn't get a chance to run last year. In Xfinity, he has finished best second. He does have 4 top 20s, so he understands and knows how to get around here in the Xfinity car. It's just tough to start these guys from way back in 34th, and they don't typically have the equipment to run up top or get too much of a PD upside. Justin Haley is a driver who has potential to do that, so if you're really trying to fish for the bottom pond here, maybe take a little bit of him, but it just scares me because consistently these guys don't make optimal lineups. He does have an Xfinity, a 10.8 average finish, and a 38.2 DraftKings average. Next in line, BJ McLeod, 5,100. I won't have any, I'm not coming close to touching BJ. 8 starts here. His best is 24th and has an average finish of 26.1, 23.4 DraftKings, all in Xfinity. No cup starts. Cody Ware has no starts here at all in any car. I'm sure he's got some iRacing experience, but that doesn't really get you a whole lot here. Starting 33rd, not coming close to touching that. Quinn Huff does have 3 cup starts here. Best finish of 32nd, starting 32nd, doesn't get you any points, doesn't do anything for you, stay away. Next in line, Josh Bilicki at 4,700, has no cup starts here, starting 31st. Best is 30th out of his 2 Xfinity starts, stay away. James Davidson, 4,600, does have 1 cup start here, finished 37th, and because he's starting 28th, he's going to lose points. Stay away. All right, let's kind of look at dominators, place differentials for this weekend. As you can see, I've got some guys that are mixed into these, so these would be guys that you may want to look at and target. Brad K at 12,000 kind of runs in the both dominator potential and place differential. So he kind of falls into the basket of both. And then in the fill-in, Austin Dillon could potentially be a nice fill-in driver. What we're looking to do is we're looking to target 2 or 3 of these dominators and then 2 place differentials. So if you've got 2 dominators, 2 place differentials, what we're going to start to do is fish out of this fill-in pond to make up the difference. I mean, of course, you could go after more place differential guys to fill it out and make sure that you've got at least 2 dominators, maybe 3. If you can fit it, but as you can see, their pricing is fairly high. Making sure we target 2 to 3 of those dominators and 2 to 3 of the place differentials, and then filling in with these other guys who are starting middle of the pack. Probably will get us a good finish. May not get you a whole lot of PD upside and not much dominator, but we've got to fill in with drivers. So last weekend, let's take a look at this. So these were our dominators and place differentials and fill-ins. As you can kind of see, 3 dominators from last weekend's race. And then 1 from the fill-in spot. and then 2 of the guys that I say, don't ever take these guys. Well, when you end up having the big one like you have at super speedways, we would target some of these guys that potentially could make optimal lineups. You don't typically find these guys in optimal lineups ever, especially at a short track. But they ended up. I mean, as you can still see, they finished 23rd and 24th. The 23rd and 24th place finisher ended up making the optimal lineup because we had 3 Dominators that priced out above $10,000 each. Well, that's $30,000, $32,500. It doesn't give you a whole lot of room to fill in the rest. So you got to go bottom barrel fishing to fill out the optimal. Now, there was only one person out of all the DraftKings lineups that I saw that actually ended up having this, and they won a lot of money for the weekend. But one person ended up having this. So typically, still, odds are Josh Bullocky and Quinn Houff and the rest of the guys that I haven't read don't make optimal lineups. So let's kind of look at our optimal lineups for this year total. If you look over to the right-hand side, Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin lead the bunch with 4 being in 4 of the 8 total optimal lineups. Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, and Eric Jones have made it into 3. And as you can see down at the bottom, we've got a whole spray of different people. But I just kind of like to keep track of this to see really who is performing and actually getting DraftKings points, because a lot of times DraftKings points don't always correlate to winning races or finishing in the top 5. Sometimes it's the PD upside guys. Christopher Bell is one of those. Eric Jones is one of those. Eric Jones has consistently done very well on increasing his from his starting spot to his finishing spot, which has put him into the optimal lineup. Last year at Richmond, as you can see, we had 1 Dominator, well, actually 2 Dominators between Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano, and Austin Dillon with Dominator style points. Even though we would have never targeted him for as a Dominator, he would have been in one of those fill-in spots. And PD upside guys would have been Christopher Bell and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And then if we fall back to Richmond 19, we had 2 Dominators here and 4 place differentials. And it's not that they need a whole lot of place differential to make it. We got David Reagan from 27 to 20th. Now, David Reagan was one of those that was probably just on the cusp of being like, hey, stay away from this guy. But because his price was so low, we were able to fit in the 2 top Dominators. So we will have to find some salary relief this weekend, and typically do most weekends. It's just finding that one guy that ends up making it. So that's all I have for this week. Hopefully you guys had a great week and did well at Martinsville, and wish you the best of luck at this track. If you like what I'm putting out, make sure you like, subscribe, comment on the video. Let me know who you took or are taking and how well you did. Make sure you share with your friends or anybody else that you know that would enjoy this content, and we will talk to you again next week. Good luck.
Good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so got to be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checker. You are fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys. Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal, we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away. Yeah, boys! Way to rebound! Great job!
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here.
Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so got to be around at the end to do that.
Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the